This live stream may not be, or it may be, or it may not be for you. But consider this: fear is for the fearful. What are you afraid of? Yeah, I guess there's the drama in that. Um, yeah, when it comes to fear, you know, it's an unwanted, unpleasant, emotion, sensation, an awareness of danger that may or may not be real. Interesting, though. Fear makes people do strange things. They say, in certain circles, pressure busts pipes or makes coffee. You know, there's a lot of people that do strange things out of fear. Not all fear is bad. Some people say that you have an acute reference or reverence for God, and certain respect, calling that a sense of fear, the fear of God, as some would say, only fear God, not man, in that particular presentation, you know, but that's from a religious context. As it pertains to, the sensibilities, as it pertains to danger, as it pertains to, a false sense of, peril that may, grip us sometimes. Danger is real, but, as I said, fear is a choice, so sometimes, we let fear, grip us and overtake us and, bring us to dark places and stuff sometimes, maybe you may not want to talk to this, talk about this, but like I said, this live stream may or may not be for you, which is cool, just gonna speak my piece and say what I say. Sometimes you could, have a fear, a phobia of things to stop you and prevent you from doing what it is that you would do and going where you would be, in your life to do particular things, Be it you afraid of what society may think, be it you afraid of what your family members may think, be it you afraid, of what you may see from your own reflection, it's a thing to be said when it, comes to fear, a paralyzing, thing, a gripping thing, as it pertains to, the things that, transpire in the hearts of men. Thank you for one person that came through. Or sometimes all you need is one, Fear makes us do strange things, Fear can, bring us to shame, Fear can take us to places, where we create habits or, we do things to escape, we take on new identities, we abandon responsibilities and things like that. Fear is for the fearful. It is written that, God have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and a sound mind. Maybe there's a lot of folks out there that don't want power or a sound mind. The sound mind is to be able to think clearly, and this, having power is just really having the ability, ability over, negativity, ability over, a perceived danger that may or may not be real. Maybe, folks is afraid of this conversation. I don't know, but I see fear a lot of times. Sometimes we have a fear or a false sense of reality that doesn't exist, that stops us from doing the things that, we could particularly, do to prosper in this life. Sometimes people are just afraid to, go back to school, or afraid to, stand up for their rights, or afraid to be who they are, be it from a sexual standpoint or a religious standpoint, be it from a creative standpoint. Fear does a lot of different things to us. What's going on, Picker Rick One? I just wanted to say, oh, listen to, I just don't comment a lot. Thank you. I appreciate you for, actually coming through, Picker Rick One. It's been a while. It's been a while, but I appreciate you. This is one of those things where I'm just, having a conversation. I thank you. If it's even only just you in this chat right now, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to just, speak to one person or just do my thing and say what I'd say. But definitely thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. So, this is just something that I'm coming up, not just coming up with, but something that was just on my mind, something I had scheduled to talk about. And fear, like I said, fear, any one of us out there, knows about fear and how it can cripple us, it can debilitate us, it can stop us from, doing those things that we have, in our heart, those dreams, those goals, those wishes, those hopes that we have in our heart to go out there and accomplish and really, fight for those things that matter most to us. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Sometimes fear is a motivator. Fear, of failure may, get you to go out there and try to accomplish some things and really see what's possible or whatnot. You never know. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. What's that? Was that Winston Churchill? If I think he said that. Some people would agree with that. Some people would say, it's different. Sometimes we actually fear things. We fear people. We fear you know, I don't know what folks may do to judge us and whatnot. Sometimes people get scrutinized and, they're just afraid of what people may say about anything they particularly do. Sometimes people are afraid to move. They're afraid to express themselves in a way that's freely, that's open. People are afraid to just, exist and be a person and just, have a difference of opinion with stuff like that. I mean, a lot of times now I know people are afraid to, be politically incorrect. Everything has to be politically correct. People are just afraid to, say anything and speak up in certain ways because you may offend somebody. So, it's a fear of all this stuff. Hey, what's going on, Picker Rick One? Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Amen. Right back to you. You kind of know what it is. It's a situation where, you can hold your tongue. You could be afraid to speak your piece as long as you're not hurting anybody. It shouldn't be a problem. But sometimes people are just afraid to be. We live in a society where things are overly sensitive and folks are constantly worried about the backlash that may come for having an opinion, a difference of an opinion. Afraid just to be, comfortable in your own skin. And I see it with a lot of people sometimes, I mean, people are afraid to fail or make mistakes or afraid not to know stuff, afraid to fall, afraid to look bad, afraid to have a vulnerable moment. People fear so many things that you create phobias. You put yourself in a space, and for what? For what? I mean, nobody is perfect on this planet. Nobody has got all the answers on this planet. So why be afraid? I'm not saying that there's not perceived dangers out there that are real. I'm not saying that you should just be fearless without anything. I mean, there's some things to really be afraid of. Natural disasters or shootings, mass shootings, and stuff like that, or I guess our nuclear threat or whatever stuff like that. That's really beyond our control, or act of nature or something. But just being afraid to speak your mind, to stand up to bullies, to express your opinion about things. It doesn't have to be the case. It's kind of crazy how that particular thing works. I don't know if you're still on here, Pick a Rick One, but I'm only gonna be on 15 minutes. I'm not gonna be on long because, like I said, there's not a lot of people in the chat tonight. But I am gonna finish out my time here. So I'll be about 15 minutes about that time. I won't make this a long live stream, and this is for anybody else that comes through later on, gang, replay, gang. Thank you for the 2 likes and 2 thumbs up. Yeah, Pick a Rick. I'm just letting you know because basically I want to give you a time check. I'm not going to be speaking for the next hour. So Technetic Beats, thank you, appreciate it. What I appreciate you for coming through. But yeah, just talking about fear. How fear cripples people, debilitates people, stops them from doing what it is that they do. And it's a challenge because I know how stressful it can be just to be your own person, just to stand on your own too. I mean, we all need help in some type of way. That's just one of those things that happen. Nobody does it alone. But just not being afraid to be your own individual with your own mind and think your own thoughts. A lot of times, we do feed into, the lack of confidence that folks may have, stuff like that. For the younger ones is, peer pressure and stuff like that. I feel like a fawn. I fear the wind. Well, hey, if you only you feel the wind, that's an interesting one. Technetic Beats, that's funny. That's funny. I like that. But yeah, a lot of times to combat that, it's about understanding what makes you special, what makes you tick, understanding your worth, your value, knowing where you stand on any issue. When you know what you stand for, you know what you won't fall for. If you don't stand for anything, then you'll fall for everything, and the thing is to understand your principles and where you come from and what you're about, regardless of whether folks agree with it or don't agree with it, regardless, of whether, you get judged or not, yeah, I know. Technated Beats. There's nothing wrong with having a joke because sometimes my live streams are a little too serious. So I know folks got to make a little jokey joke. So I love the jokey jokes. Mel love the jokes. Especially when they're coming from people in the chat. I always appreciate folks for coming through the chat, even if it's only a few people. I appreciate just the two of you for being here, but I'm only gonna be on for like about another 5 minutes or so, and then I'm out. I'm just giving you a time check because I don't want you to think I'm gonna be on here all night, all day, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes go live, too many times for people's taste, but it's all good. And and this is just to speak to people who may not, you know, um, have the confidence, who may not know that it's okay. First off, it's okay to have, your qualms or be fearful about things, but not to, let the fear grip you and debilitate you and stop you from being who you are, being who you can be, to being your best self, not to use too much of a generic term or whatever the case may be, but there's things out there that we can accomplish if you're willing to look in the mirror and face yourself and look in society and say, this is who I am, imperfections and all. Sometimes we're just afraid to say, I have a voice, I have a vision, I have a life, I have creativity, I have things that make me special in my own particular way, regardless of what you may think about me. So that's just what it is. Be all that you can be. Yes, that was the old Army slogan, Pick a Rick One. Be all that you can be in the Army Reserve. Let me say. But yeah, be all that you can be. Be all that you should be. In this life, and don't be afraid of the judgment. Of the backlash, the gossip, and the backbiting, the things that people may do to tear you down. Because at the end of the day, regardless of whether or not you do what you do or don't do, sometimes people just hate you for being who you are. They may hate you from the color of your skin, to the background that you come from the social economic class you come from. You could be a bass fisherman, they don't like that. You could come from the backwoods, they hate that. You could be, Asian descent, and you could be gay, straight, religious. People, people will hate you for any reason. People will be against you for any reason. So to have fear in your heart about what people would or wouldn't do to you, is I'm not gonna say it's kind of silly, but it's not gonna help you live your best life. Let me see what you were saying, Technetic Beats. I fear for the safety of my children the most. I've always tried to be just who I am without fear of it. Yes, and that's what it is, Pick a Rick One. Sometimes you have to just be who you are without fear of it, but sometimes we have to learn how to be brave. We have to learn how to stand in our truth. We have to learn how to just, be who it is that we are in any particular situation. And there's times when, we fail to realize that, it's okay, to be the unique individual that you are, is the special individual that you are in this world. I'm not gonna say you can do any and everything you want, but there's certain things that you're on this planet to do, and you shouldn't be afraid of it. There's certain ways that you live, and and certain dreams and stuff like that, hopes and goals that you have in your heart that you should be able to accomplish, without fear of anybody trying to stop that. And also from people that are in oppressed societies, it still doesn't mean you don't fight and push and press on to accomplish your dreams and your goals, because sometimes you folks that are going through oppressed societies or communist regimes and stuff like that, you inspire us more that are in the quote unquote free societies to appreciate and understand the rights, the liberties, the privileges that we do have, the things that we take for granted and stuff like that. I have nothing against peace and love, but unity. Didn't God punish us for the last time the world united under the promise of heaven again? Um, you going into a biblical context. I think that's a little bit different. Technetic Beats, that's definitely a different thing. I mean, I'm not going to try to be a pastor or preacher here to say, I think that was more about the Tower of Babel, and, that was a manipulation that happened, and he stopped that from happening because everybody was speaking the same language, and, God had to separate that. That's something totally different from being together in peace and love and whatnot. If you go into the good book, it tells you to be peaceable with all men as much as is in your heart. But that's a whole separate thing. But I thank you for bringing it up. I'm just specifically talking about fear, what people are afraid of, and what people run from. I mean, you'll never overcome your fear of things if you're afraid to face it, whatever it is. Whatever is a personal thing, or something on a bigger level, on a social scale, or whatever the case may be. There's just a lot of people that are afraid to face life, and you can't be who you are and live your best life, without being able to look yourself in the mirror, look yourself in the eye, look at society and say, this is who I am. Win, lose, or draw. Whether you like it or not, love it or hate it or love it. this is who I am and this is who I will be, regardless of what you may or may not do to me. And on that note, I thank you folks for watching. I appreciate those folks that have come and watched this in the replay. Gang, gang, um, as always, spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. And for dramatic effect, I will say again, once again, fears for the fearful. What are you afraid of? Dramatic, right?